Read aloud for this week is the poem in the Storyworks magazine called Remember by Joy Harjo, and it's on page 29. And I have it in the background here, but if you have your magazine, which most of you do, you can just follow right along in the magazine as I read it out loud. And as I'm reading out loud, it wants to draw our attention to that how the poem urges us to appreciate our connection to everything around us. And by that, it means like nature, trees, plants, animals, the sun, the moon, the stars, as well as each other and our families. Also in this poem, there's a lot of figurative language. There's several examples of metaphors and personifications. So if I remember at the moment each time, I'll stop and talk about it. The first thing I want you to do is to number the lines in the poem. So we're going to look at the structure. So you should end up with 26 lines. So go ahead and start numbering that. And remember, each time a line begins, that's a new line. And then the other thing I want you to notice is the stanzas. And these stanzas sometimes are only one line long, and then other times they are 2 or 3 lines long, and we end up with 12 stanzas. So 26 lines and 12 stanzas. Make sure you go ahead and number those lines. That'll help you with some of the questions that we get to on the worksheets. All right, let's go ahead and start reading this. Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. That's some personification there. Stars having a story. Remember the moon. Know who she is. Well, giving the moon characteristics of people is personification. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away tonight. So in this stanza, stanza 3, it refers to the sunrise as the sun's birth at dawn. Well, the sun can't be born, but people can, so that's personification. The 4th stanza, remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's and hers. Remember your father. He is your life also. Remember the earth whose skin you are. Red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. So there's some personification there, saying that the earth has skin. Saying that we are earth, that's a metaphor, calling us something that we're not, but drawing a comparison between the two. Remember the plants, trees, animal life, who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them, listen to them. They are alive poems. Well, that's clearly a metaphor, calling plants, trees, and animals poems, calling it something that it's not, to try to make a comparison between the two. So we would have to think about, what do they have in common? What does a poem have in common with living things? Well, they tell a story, right? A poem can tell a story, and every living thing has a story to it. From the time it was born till the time it dies, and even the ancestors that it had before it. Remember the wind, remember her voice. She knows the origin of this universe. What type of figurative language do you think that is? Remember the wind, remember her voice. She knows the origin. So calling the wind female, thinking that she has a voice and knows things, well, those are human traits that the wind does not have. So we have personification here. Remember, you are all people, and all people are you. Remember, you are this universe, and this universe is you. So we have metaphors there again, too, calling us the universe, calling the universe you. We have a metaphor. Remember, all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember, language comes from this. Remember, the dance language is. Calling language a dance is a metaphor. That life is. Remember. All right, so For this read aloud, you needed to number the lines, pick up on some of those figurative languages in here. I didn't go into too much depth with them because the worksheet will explore some of those. And the other thing I want you to notice is what word did you hear over and over again? What word appears in every single stanza, sometimes more than once? That's going to be important too in the next few days.